Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.
Wow, I really miss the days when manufacturers made them boxy. Welcome to space. You're part of the Federation. A different Federation. And they're fighting off a rebellion. And you possess the information vital to them succeeding in this task. The rebel fleet is hot on your heels. And yes, I'm going to assume that all humanoid species have heels. Now reach the Federation homeworld before all is lost. The game is procedurally generated. You pick the system you want to go to, and there you can experience a random encounter, enemies, a quest, a store, or nothing. Just a moment of respite and a description setting the scene. It's ridiculously affecting for that little stimuli. When you encounter enemies, you fight them, or sometimes just escape. The random encounters give you a scenario and various options to choose from, and a lot of them have a set of possible outcomes. And the same decision won't necessarily deliver the same results from run to run. Well, some of them seem to give the same results over and over again, while others slingshot from reward to catastrophe. There seems to be a more reliable exception though. Options in blue will be displayed if your ship has the appropriate upgrade or a crew member of the correct species. And these options usually turn out well. Stores do what stores do, except the currency is scrap, not credits or anything easy to standardize. Scrap. We're working on the scrap standard. Exchange it for crew members, drones, weapons, etc. And quests give you sector-specific missions, and sometimes homeworld quests, that will, upon success, unlock new ship types that you can choose to play with on future runs. And every time you move between star systems, the rebel fleet advances. So you have to try your best to suck the sector dry while still staying ahead of them. Unless you want to fight where the odds are not in your favor, where you will fight an enemy ship that has supporting fire. When you're ready to jump to a new sector, go to the system labeled Exit. Repeat this process until you reach Sector 8 and face off against the rebel flagship. And hopefully by this point you've actually accrued enough weaponry and upgrades to take it on. And here is where the game shines. Kitting out your ship and fighting enemies. I never would have guessed that this is what the game's good at, considering how combat is represented in the game. Stationary ships, charging weaponry, minimal input. But there you go, it's quite lovely. You choose how your ship develops. A lot of attacks are blocked by shields, so improving them is a good option. As is getting a cloaking system to avoid being targeted entirely. At least while it lasts. Upgrade your engines to improve evasion. Improve your weapon systems so that you can equip more weaponry. And don't forget to upgrade your reactor, as a great deal of upgrades will require more energy. And finally, get better weapons. Missile weaponry can bypass shields, but requires expending a missile. Burst weaponry can be quite reliable in terms of charging speed and hammering those shields. Shrapnel weapons are good for that too. They seemingly fire space junk at the enemy, which, considering the currency is scrap, is maybe akin to firing a gold-plated torpedo. Beam weapons are excellent, appealing to a ton of sci-fi fans who fantasized over slicing through the hull of a ship. Also, you can use ion weaponry to shut down certain ship systems and be a bit less lethal. Maybe buy a drone system, but those, like missiles, are consumable. But they can give you added flexibility, as there are different drones with different functions. Continue the fight until the crew are dead, which is the harder way. It tends to be much easier and much more satisfying to just blow them up.
Especially when you annihilate them with the glaive.
Add to that other available tactics, such as installing a teleportation room on your ship to directly deposit a boarding party onto theirs to engage in space fisticuffs, the ability to target their systems directly, and remove, say, their ability to use their weaponry or produce oxygen. Possibly making them suffocate. That tactic probably presents more threat to you than the enemy though. Remember to select the correct crew members to repair the damage and to fight off their boarding parties. If you actually have a choice. There's a fair bit to consider. Some crew functions relate to skills that can level up after earning enough experience. such as managing the weapon system. If that room is operated by a crew member with a leveled up weapon skill, then the ship's weapon systems will charge faster. Doing the same for the engine room will result in better evasion, a better repair skill will improve repair speed, and a better fighting skill to defeat boarders. Yes, your crew is not expendable. No red shirts here. I mean, they wouldn't even be expendable if they had no experience. Some runs you won't find many willing to join you, or you will fail to have the necessary scrap to hire them when you have the opportunity. Other times you manage a fuller complement, meaning when someone attacks you from the inside, you have to divert fewer crew members from their tasks, because you will have a designated guard, essentially. There are a lot of ways of improving your ship, and since the random events are random, you're encouraged at times to improve your ship in ways you normally wouldn't. For instance, usually I didn't like ion weaponry, but one run I got a very powerful one and had to make do with what I was given. And on that run I didn't really have much wiggle room. And the game is fun. Every success gives a jolt. So much happiness. So much so that later on you'll cling to life after failures. Well, the small ones at least. It kind of feels like here I'm hanging in there a bit more. More than I usually would in the genre. Okay, this is over. Let's start a new run. I hope I fare better this time. Maybe I'll try one of the unlocked ships, with a different crew and layout, different starting weapons. You can also unlock alternate layouts for already unlocked ships, but I didn't manage to unlock any of them. I only managed to reach the flagship once, and died during round 2 against the army of drones, and I was pretty much spent after my death. I tried playing a little bit after that, but I absorbed most of what the game had to offer by then. There aren't that many random events, and I suppose not that much to see, and the game doesn't really have roguelike elements to make things easier from run to run. Just other ships to choose and other layouts if you can actually unlock them. But I did play it for a fair bit, 27 hours in total. A lot of fun and a lot of runs. But this probably does justify an action I took fairly early on in the game. Activating the Advanced Edition content. I played a little bit with it off, mostly with it on. I can't really tell if anything was added, but I doubt it's enough to justify a playthrough with it off, just to see what it's like. I noticed no difference, and I doubt that they cut content, so if playing with that off does anything, chances are it makes the game less interesting. So go ahead, put it on. Visually it does work, although some of its elements would look bad in other games. The ship cross-sections and enemies over a pink background, the edgy and scratchy pixel background of the nebula. But here it melds perfectly because of how down to business the game is. Besides, how else are you supposed to represent the brilliance of the destructive power, the beauty of beam weaponry in this game? At the very least, you can call the visuals unobjectionable. Plus, the crew members look cute and kind of animated, with their pronounced black outlines. Even though they're not that animated, there's only so many functions they do. And musically, it has some thoroughly sci-fi tunage and sound design. Not that many tracks, but it's relaxing and eerie. Especially the sections where it's just you and your ship in the silence of the void. Or near silence, signaling that nothing is happening. Signaling your rest. The game has a surprisingly serious tone. I honestly assumed it would be a gag fest. And even though the game doesn't really have a story or characters, or even that much world building, the journey just screams urgency. The game is cheap on Steam, 109 Rand full price, 27 Rand 25 on sale. That's 1 Rand 1 cent per hour of gameplay, which is splendid. And it has quite a small download size, as it only takes up 274 megabytes on the hard drive. And it does work well on the Warhorse. But over there, if you set it to native full screen mode, the game seems to crash. But it does work on stretch mode quite well. And the game is stereotypically kid-friendly. It's not bloody, and even if it were, you don't see much from this view. The worst thing in it is this very, very, very mild suggestive joke regarding Engi ship merging rituals, but it's mild. The game has a lot of ship RPG possibilities. Different unlocked ships, different weapons, upgrades, drones, etc. The options are substantial at the very least when you consider how long it takes to get a successful run. A run where you have enough elements and resources to be powerful. You usually see things piecemeal. But maybe if you didn't have to die and restart so much, there really isn't that much here. But with the way the gameplay works, it feels right. There are fun combat choices like what to fire at, what weapon to target where, target immediately or wait for an opening in the shields. These decisions can be fun if you have a chance to win. But if you have no chance of winning, for instance after reaching a far enough stage in the game where enemy shielding is powerful without enough firepower to punch through them, it can get quite rough. The game's atmosphere is pleasant and strangely urgent and serious. And it has nice, calming sci-fi music, if it doesn't have many tracks. Beautiful, eerie, relaxed, mysterious, frantic. Ticks a lot of boxes. On the maybe side, the visuals are unobjectionable. Perhaps functional. They show what they're supposed to. It doesn't show much, the universe is kind of nondescript, but I thought it fit. They didn't bother me, made the game rules possible, seeing those beam weapons cut through. It doesn't strain itself. And the game doesn't have a story, really. And as said, the universe is nondescript. The game doesn't have much world building either. On the con side, if you're not into the game, you may notice there aren't that many random encounters. But at least the same decision doesn't always produce the same outcome. And that adds variety. And also, while you can progress shipwise in a variety of ways, the way enemy shielding improves across sectors means that overcoming and dealing with shielding has to be a keystone to your strategy in order to be effective in combat. But there are a couple of options as to how you do that. Repeated laser fire, direct missile impact, shrapnel, etc. This is actually a great game. It's right and tight. Come on, play it. React to the chaos of a ship on fire. You'll see how your crew works under pressure, and that some of them feel more comfortable hopping the fire out.
Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.